Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review of The Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book in the second era of the Mistborn universe. So the Mistborn trilogy is the first series that takes place in this same world. Brandon Sanderson has, I believe, 3, if not 4 different eras planned in this same world that takes place also within his Cosmere universe. So this takes place hundreds of years after the events of that first series in the same world. Just like the first series, this is an adult fantasy series that takes place within the greater Cosmere universe. Brandon Sanderson's adult fantasy series all take place within the same universe, but all in different planets of that universe, so they're slightly interconnected, some more than others. This follows the main character of Waxilium. His name is frequently abbreviated to Wax, and he is a noble in this world, in this era, and he has recently returned from the Roughs, which is like away from the city, where he was a lawmaker out there, but he's actually returned to be the noble that he's supposed to be and getting into society and things like that. But his past kind of follows him a bit, and he realizes that he can't quite only do one or the other, and everything kind of goes from there. So first off, I'm going to talk about the world building. It's relevant to say that if you don't read the first series, I don't think you're going to care about this series. You're also going to be slightly lost with some of the world building. The first series really goes into the vast magic system that Mistborn and Brandon Sanderson in general is just kind of known for, and you get the basis of the world, and a lot of the things in the first series influence the beliefs, the political structure, and everything going on in this second series. So you really, like, in theory you could jump into this series, but you're not going to care as much, and honestly, why would you just do that? You need to read the first series. So what was fun is that it's the same world, and there's a lot of the same things going on, but things look so different. This is sort of an industrial revolution period in this world, so you still have like aristocrats and nobles and things like that, but they're starting to get things like trains, they have guns, they're getting electricity currently, they're getting cars, things like that. So it has like this wild, wild west vibe with like industrial revolution and things combined in this fantasy setting, which is really fun. You also have the magic system slightly morphed a bit, so the magic that you learned about in the first book still exists, but it's different. A lot of it that happened in the first book is sort of seen as legendary, and that's really cool. Along with the legendariness of things, the religions and things are largely based on a lot of the characters that were in the first book. And so you see all these people being referenced, and you know who they are, and you know their story, and then you see how their story has sort of been telephoned throughout the generations, and they've turned into these like mythical creatures that some people don't even really believe ever existed. Again, this is why I think that you have to read the first series, because there's no, like, you're not going to have that emotional connection to this if you don't. Next, I'm going to talk about the characters. Our main character of Wax took a little bit to grow on me. He's kind of this gruff character. I enjoy that in this series, Brandon Sanderson tends to have a lot of middle-aged characters, even with the first Mistborn series as well. So you have him as being, I think, like late 30s, possibly early 40s, and so that's kind of fun. You also have his best friend, Wayne, who is a complete gem. You have some perspectives of him as well, so he would be also considered a main character, but in this book it's really more Wax, but you do get some POVs from him and also from some other characters, and he is eccentric and wonderful, and he really balances the sort of like straight edgeness of Wax. Then you have Wayne, who's just so out there. He is a like almost like actor. He puts on like different faces, and there's a name for it as far as like what kind of con man he is, and I'm forgetting it at this exact moment, but he's able to just kind of like trick his way into things. His powers are also really interesting. In here you have the 2 different types of magic systems that are talked about a lot in the first series working together, kind of. And the way that his work together are really cool and fun as well. So I really enjoy him. You also have some fun female characters as well. This series just feels really fun in the way that the first series felt more serious. This definitely feels more fun. I think it'll build on the seriousness, but this right now just feels kind of like a just like Wild West kind of series, and like whodunit and things like that. But I definitely do feel like it's going to get more than that. But I really enjoyed the female characters. I will say, because it sort of turned me off at first, the very first chapter, the prologue, has an instance of a woman being fridged, and I don't think that's a spoiler since it happens within the first like 10 pages. I've heard from people who've read the series that like there's things about it and reasons and whatever, but I still don't love it ever. So when I first read it, and I was excited to read the series, when I first read that chapter I was like, am I gonna need to not because I just can't with that, but the other female characters that are brought in are really interesting, and I think that it's not a case of just like women being written badly or not having any agency. These other female characters definitely have their own unique personalities and motivations outside of the men, so I enjoy them and I want to see more of them as well. Lastly, we talk about the plot. This is a short book in comparison to the first Mistborn books. It's very fast-paced. Like I mentioned before, it's sort of like this Wild West mystery, what's going on, like almost feels like monster or villain of the week type thing going on. Obviously there's going to be like this overarching bigger villain, but it is fun right now and I'm interested to see where it goes. This first book was just reintroducing you to the world, to these new characters, to kind of what's going on in the political landscape and everything, and I'm excited to see how the rest of the series goes. I believe it's going to be 4 books in the series. So overall, I gave The Alloy of Law 3.5 to 4 stars. Again, definitely based on loving the first series so much and seeing how all of that morphed. It's really fun to see how that series became the history for this series and all of that. And I'm really excited for the potential of this, for seeing some other things that we haven't quite seen yet come up, and just how like the religion is handled now, and just a lot of different things that are so different from that first series but still have enough threads to that first series. So I think if you enjoyed the first Mistborn, you're still going to enjoy this, even though it's different. It's a new twist on it, and I'm just excited to see all the different eras of this world because it is one of my favorite worlds in fantasy, and definitely one of my favorite worlds that Brandon Sanderson has done. So comment down below and let me know what you thought of The Alloy of Law. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!